Well, yet again, we have absolute proof that Hollywood just doesn't get it. In fact, they are so beyond the scope of reality and sense. It's actually funny. So the newest news out of Hollywood is a new project coming up by Greta Gerwig. I don't know. I know her name. I think she did the new Little Women. I don't honestly know. I think she did Barbie. Obviously, I have not seen that. But she's a pretty famous female director, up and coming, I suppose, or there, I suppose, as a top director now in Hollywood. Fine. I really don't know much of her work. I don't really care if it's a female director, whatever. But she's taking on the classic series, The Chronicles of Narnia. Now, for those who don't know about Narnia, they were written by C.S. Lewis back in the 1950s. He was, of course, a good friend of J.R.R. Tolkien and part of the Inklings Club that used to meet in Oxford, I think. Anyway, very, very devout Christian. Unfortunately, was not a Catholic. He was an Anglican, but a very devout Anglican. He has very good books even on Christianity. One called Mere Christianity, and he has many good quotes, etc. He was a very Christian man. His whole worldview and his books were based on Christianity. And the Chronicles of Narnia are really direct allegory. That's one of the reasons that J.R.R. Tolkien was kind of famous for saying that he did not like direct allegory, was because his friend liked and wrote in direct allegory. And so one of the parts of that was, if you read the stories, I'm not going to go into it, but one of the characters is kind of meant to be allegorical to Jesus Christ. Obviously, again, go read the books. I'm not going to get into the stories, but it's very clear, and no one denies it. That is what it is. So the latest news out of Hollywood, and this film about to be directed by Greta Gerwig, is that Meryl Streep is rumored to be playing the role of Aslan in the film Narnia. So again, spoiler alert: this character is an allegory of Jesus Christ, who, of course, was a man and God and a man. So the idea of Meryl Streep playing Aslan is obviously quite laughable and fitting, again, for what Hollywood has been doing for the last almost a decade now. They are ridiculous. I mean, like they go and they try to take over these stories and then they completely change them and they just keep the name. I mean, what's the point? If you're going to take out the religious allegory, then it's not really the same story. And I'm not a huge fan of Narnia, to be honest. I'm much more of a Tolkien fan. Um, I also don't love the direct allegory, and the story's a little more for children, but they have their place. And I know there are many families who like them, and we were read them by my parents when we were children as well. They definitely have their place, and their place again is as children's books to tell a good allegorical story. Now I'm going to share a little bit here too. This is from screenrant.com. This is a long article about the cast, but they go on to say several major names are currently being considered for the cast of Chronicles of Narnia, but none of them have signed on yet. The first pop star turned actor, Charlie XCX, who was being considered for a role in February 2025, Daniel Craig, etc., blah, blah, blah. Now, Charlie XCX, again, this is someone I have no idea who that is. I've never heard of this person. I do believe she's white, which is surprising because she is being potentially cast as the role of the White Witch, which I honestly, after seeing Meryl Streep, I kind of expected them to cast a black man because that's pretty much the way they're going here. But this Charlie XCX is a pop star and not an actress. I guess she's barely acted in anything, which makes people think that maybe this is going to be some sort of musical. So the rumor right now is that you're going to have Meryl Streep as the Christ-like character Aslan, and in a film, a Narnia film that is going to be pop rock musical. Yeah. So C.S. Lewis's Narnia is going to be turned into a pop rock musical with Meryl Streep at its head. You can't Hollywood. You whatever you think they cannot get dumber, and you think they can't get more away from reality and try and they get woker, right? They just get woker. It never ends. we really keep thinking it's like, okay, they figured it out now, right? I mean, they're not going to keep doing this stuff. I mean, look at what was the new um, Snow White just lost. They're saying it could lose 300 million, could lose $300 million because it's terrible, and because they tried to turn it into something that it wasn't. A simple fairy tale with basic lessons for adults and children, and it had actual, true, good feminism. And you know what they tried to turn into? Bad feminism and wokeness, and it lost 300 million. But here we go. We have a new movie coming out by Hollywood that's going to completely change a classic story by a classic writer and try to turn it into something new and woke. And it's going to crash and burn. And I can't wait to see it.